Hi, you guys. How's it going? How's it going? Well, I I finished the last of the Reader's Digest journals that I think I'm gonna do for this year. I guess that's not really saying much since there's not much left in this year, but I've used all of the Reader's Digest books that I wanted to use, and I do still have some that I'm going to hang on to and probably do another series, like maybe in the springtime or something. But I've just been so completely in love with all of the quilt tops and quilting pieces and stuff like that that I've come across lately. And I just feel like the patterns and just the style of these types of quilt pieces really lend themselves to using with the Reader's Digest patterns. I just feel like they really kind of go together really well. So what these are the smaller Reader's Digest books that you'll see every once in a while. They're pretty narrow. The spine is generally about, I would say, 3/4 of an inch, as opposed to like an inch and a half, right? So these are the smaller ones. And I happened across, a dozen or so of them. Actually, I think I had about 14. I wound up using 12. And this was an undertaking. I tell you what, these took me quite a while to put together. But I put a lot of work into them, and I feel like that comes across. And so I wanted to do a flip through on a couple of these just to give anybody who's looking at them on Etsy an idea of what's inside. Each one, they're all, as per usual, they're all very similar inside as far as the types of material and stuff like that's in there. But they're going to vary just a little bit. So I'd had a conversation on one of my live streams about naming these, and I know that probably some people will be disappointed, but I was going to try to use sort of random viewer names as names for these, and I wound up changing my mind on that for a couple of reasons, and I just kind of feel like I should explain it because I sort of led everybody to believe that that's what I was going to do. So a couple reasons. First reason is it was just a lot of work. Like I'm ready to be done with these journals, and going through a live stream and writing down names and waiting for a live stream to draw the names, to name the journals and that kind of thing. While it was a great idea, and in theory it probably would have been really cool, but I wound up going with just kind of some old-fashioned names that I really liked. And so that's what I wound up doing with these. I feel like at some point I want to do that. I definitely want to name some journals, a series of journals after viewers. And so I think what I'll do is on my next live stream, I'll try to collect the names, and then I'll draw names that I'll use on the next series. And I think what I'll do is wind up using those on like a mini series. Okay. I have a couple of ideas for some mini journals that I want to do. And so we'll talk about that at a later date. But let me go ahead and flip through at least one of these, and maybe two. So I'll tell you the name of the book, and that way you can find it easily on the Etsy shop. I will say at this point, I am having a hell of a time getting images to upload onto Etsy. I'm gonna keep working at it, but it literally took like 15 minutes for one image to upload. And so right now there's only one of these that has all 10 images there. The rest of them just have like the thumbnail, just the one image. Okay, so you can see the cover. I'm gonna keep trying to add the rest of the photos, but I've got everybody's turned off anything they were downloading, and I don't know what it is, but Sometimes it works really well and really quick, and other times it's just like it's like trying to sip peanut butter through a straw, and it's really aggravating. So I was able to at least get one picture on each listing to upload. So anyways, I know, first world problems, right? Okay, so this one is Gladys. And so like I said, I used the quilt top on each one on the spine. And then I was able to use on most of them where I felt like I had a fabric cluster that went really well with the cover. So I used either a fabric cluster, and then on some of them I didn't want to use a fabric cluster, and so I just wound up using like some pom-pom trim, and especially on this purple one because I had this purple pom-pom trim and I just had to use it. And I love the seam binding on this one too. Two different colors of seam binding. So anywho, okay, so this one's Gladys, and she's got a fabric cluster and just a few buttons, kind of a brownish sort of tone to the cover. And then I did kind of a little collection of charms and things like that attached to the upper right corner of each one of these journals. Normally I do my charms over here, but you know, I just kind of wanted to mix it up, and I like that, you know, they're basically out of the way when you open your book, you know, when I put it right there. So anyway, and those are just all on a piece of ball chain attached with a pretty large jump ring through an eyelet. And each one is just a, you know, you just tie with a bow the seam binding. So, okay, so we'll flip through and I will show you what's inside. So I used a lot of pages from vintage, what are these called? Field guides in these. And then a bunch of my, you know, handmade, of course they're homemade, tags. And then some of the, there's a pocket on the front cover on the inside and also on the back inside cover. So, and those are just made out of book pages. So here I go, flippity flip. And I think I would say each one of these probably has 5 or 6 of these tags in it, different sizes. Some pages from one of my awesome little vintage recipe books. And then there's, you know, so there's a lot of pages from those field guides in these, and some of them are birds, some are trees, some are flowers. I don't think I used any of the fish ones, but, and then I used some of these greeting cards that I picked up recently, just as a page, and some old book paper. And I love this type of text in a book where the text is just right in the center and it's like at that huge margin. I love the way that looks. And some old onion skin paper, some new scrapbook paper. This is some stationery and some kids writing paper, some coffee dyed paper, some of those vellum cards that I picked up over in Seattle, some old atlas pages, and then each one's got probably 4 or 5 little bundles of paper and stuff like that. And each one also has, I put a whole signature, okay, from one of my little teeny tiny dictionaries, okay. So everybody's getting an entire signature from one of those, okay. Those are the little Lilliput dictionaries. I think that one might be the Spanish one, I'm not sure. And then there's 2 signatures in each one of these as opposed to 3. The other ones that I've done, those all have 3 signatures, so these only have 2. I was going to go with just one like kind of large signature, and then I changed my mind on that. I didn't like the way it looked. So just, you know, random junk journal-y stuff in here. And lots of images that I've printed from different sources. You know, open, what do they call it? Well, copyright-free images. So, and I just went kind of colorful in these too. I tried to step out of my, coffee dyed color scheme a little bit more. And then I used a lot of my avocado dyed paper, and like I just glued images down to pieces of it. Some flashcards, some recipes. There's another one of my tags, and some little tiny flashcards. If anybody ever wants to sell some of these little tiny vintage flashcards, hit me up. I love them. I want them. They have to be the old ones, though. I really like the old ones. And then I printed some images of some old like cigarette cards, and some I printed, small, some larger. And then I just went through a bunch of my images that I've pulled out of different books, a lot of the garden flowers and color books, and I included a bunch of images from those, or from that book. Some kids' book pages, and some more. This is about, I don't know, it's just a vintage pamphlet about Guernsey earthenware. Some avocado paper, some shorthand paper, some graph paper. There's another one of those vellum cards, some pages out of an algebra book. There's the envelope and the second signature, and I included some pages or some pieces of that straw paper that I got from Rachel at Roxy Creations. She lives in Italy, and she uses this paper a lot in her collaging, and so I just loved it, and so I got some from her. Oh, and I forgot to say, so each one I added a little glassine envelope with a whole bunch of old postage stamps in it, so you get some postage stamps, because I didn't go back in these, and sometimes I'll go in and just staple postage stamps just kind of throughout the whole book, and I didn't want to do that, and I thought, well, you can do that yourself, and so I added a bunch of postage stamps, so you can do whatever you want with them. And some what do you call that, ledger paper, just another page from a field guide, and another tag, a little collage tag. And this is from a kid's dictionary, young kids dictionary, and then some more. These are just some images from some really old field guides that I've reproduced. And yeah, so here's the back. Some vintage playing cards. I know, vintage. I keep saying that. We know it's vintage. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is, what I say, Gladys? Yeah. So this one is Gladys. And if you want, obviously, once you purchase a journal, you can do whatever you want with it. But a lot of times I like to take the seam binding and kind of do the bow twice, just because I like the way it looks. It's kind of puffy and pretty. But if you want, you could cut those shorter. So, okay, so that's Gladys. And then let's look at this one. This is Rose. Very purpley, so I went with some kind of complementary colors to purple. So there's little splashes of orange and some teal. And then, like I said, two different shades of purple or lavender. And this was the only purple one I had. So this one's got, this is just a little card basically made with a cigarette card, and then so this is the front of the card, and then that's the back of the card. Okay, a little journaling card, and another little tag. Pages from the field guide, some public domain images that I printed, another little collage tag, some book pages that I stitched onto some card. These are pieces from a divider or an index, divider page in one of the fibering binders. So yeah, so you can see that it's, you know, they're very similar inside. They all have a little bit different ephemera. They've all got basically, I call them, well, they're tabs, but they're just very random as far as the placement of the fabric tabs. And I used my strip of like scrap ribbon, and then I also used some of the scrap ribbon that I got from Rachel. So yeah, so there's a lot going on in these, and each one is just stuffed with goodies and stitched together. So there's your signature of book dictionary pages. I don't know, I just love them. I think they're really cute to use in collages. There's another tag, and in the pocket in the back. So, okay, so this one is Rose. And then we've got, this one's Joyce. And I didn't do I usually, on the Reader's Digest, I've been like tying strips of fabric and basically like little rags on the signature strings. I decided not to do that on these, just to keep them a little bit more simple, you know, not quite so bulky. But you know, I think that's something that if I was using one of these, I would probably wind up doing that, just because I really like the way it looks. Or like if you decided that you liked the seam binding was too long, you could always cut these down and just tie them onto these strings. It's a good place to maybe collect buttons that you really like. Just, you know, string a piece of thread under that and then put it through the holes on the button too, and just, you know, save some pretty buttons that you find. And little pieces of fabric and things like that. So this one is, what's her name? Oh, this is Beatrice. And each one of these little charm sort of bundles has some vintage buttons, and then each one has an old brass key and one of those Tim Holtz little word things, you know, like this one says Destiny, and then some shanked mother of pearl buttons and things like that. So, and then there's the fabric cluster, and this one I attached some buttons on the front too. And then, whoops, I'm just gonna pile them over here. And this one is Helen. So Helen has one of the fabric, whoops, hold on, has one of the fabric clusters on the front, and then kind of like a cream color seam binding. And then there's her charm cluster, kind of dangle, right? So that's Helen. And then this one is Dorothy. And Dorothy's got a fabric cluster with some buttons also. And then the little, you can see a little closer, little charms and her key and that kind of stuff. And then I just put the name of each one on a little tag here. So with some like olive green seam binding. And then this lovely lady is Lillian, and it's kind of a mustard yellow sort of color. And then with some yellow, this is vintage seam binding with a fabric cluster. And I love this pink button on there. It's really pretty. I think it's mother of pearl that's been dyed, but yeah. And so the back on each of them is just plain, but I love this quilt top. This is the one with the little 1-inch squares, and just love it. Love, love, love it. And then, oh, and each one of them is also lined with a piece of linen, this really heavy, beautiful kind of teal green linen that I had. And yeah, so each one is kind of lined with a piece of that. So this one is This is Lucille. So she's kind of like pink and teal, you know, with a fabric cluster and some buttons and the vintage pink seam binding. So I will show you what I was talking about, the linen. See, it's just glued into the spine just to kind of hide the yuckiness that you get when you gut the book out. So, but all of the spines on these were actually in pretty good shape, so I didn't have to rebuild any of them. And that was the whole point, really, was that I wanted to make some journals that were a little bit smaller and a little bit more affordable than the other ones too. So, I mean, not that they're outrageously priced, but you know, I wanted to go with a little bit lower price point on these if I could. So this is Edna, and she's kind of yellow and green, and you know, but then there's some touches of pink, and of course all the colors that you'll get in the quilt top too. So yeah, 2 signatures on each one. And then this one is Evelyn, and Evelyn's kind of got like a marbled paper cover. And then I used some other fabric that I had on some of these to sort of back the quilt top onto. And I just love this fabric. It's got all these really pretty roses and things like that. So she's got a fabric cluster, pretty large fabric cluster, and then just the white seam binding with the charms. And these charms right here with all the little beads and the sparkles, those are some Tim Holtz. I can't remember what this series is called, but I just love those charms. And then of course there's a little bingo number tag on there. Anyways, and then who's this? This is Agnes. I love Agnes. She's so pretty. I like the pink and teal together. Actually added some rickrack on this one too. So, and then, whoops, get out of there. And then here's the charm dangle deal on this one. So it's another one of those kind of clustered charms, and then brass key, and then this little fabric covered shanked button. And the last one, last but not least, this is, what's her name? Oh, this is Grace. Yeah, so this one's Grace. So she's got the big pom-pom trim. It's a larger pom-pom on this one, with a brown seam binding. And it's like a hexagonal piece quilt top on this one. I think this might be the only one that has that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this one has a different quilt top on it, but I love that one too. So, okay, so I'm gonna get these listed. I'll go ahead and upload the listings, even though a lot of them, most of them don't have all of the images, but I'm going to keep working at it, and I'll just sit here all night and let pictures upload if I have to, but eventually I will get all of the images there. So, and I appreciate you understanding, but yeah, if there's one that you're interested in and you would really like to see more pictures and the pictures have not been uploaded yet, just send me a message and I'd be happy to go grab the book and take a few quick pictures for you. Okay, I might even be able to show you like a little video or something, who knows. But yeah, and then just a reminder, I do have a live sale coming up tomorrow on Saturday the 17th of November at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not going to carry on about it, but I will have lots of vintage books that I'm trying to destash, and then also I'm going to do some bohemian type of bundles. I've come across some really cool fabrics and quilts and things like that I want to share with you guys. So, okay, so give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and go ahead and share it with anybody that you think might also enjoy it. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, you know, feel free to do that. Click the little bell when you do, and you'll get notifications whenever I go live or upload a new video. And thank you very, very much to all of my existing subscribers. I appreciate you very, very much. And yeah, so you guys have a great rest of your evening. And thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.